Hello, fellow Star Voyagers. Welcome back. The ground shaking. We were base building yesterday, and we're gonna keep base building today. Welcome back. Some more No Man's Sky. I have yet to stumble forward into anything else. Still don't know what we're gonna play next or when. For now, we're gonna play more of this. We were working on I got two cuts from metal, like paper cuts, but from metal. Opening some cashews, the foil on those, I managed to slice the side of my finger right here. The cashews are good. Caesar, right on, rock and roll. I guess we don't have that particular alert, which I saw for the first time the other day. Doesn't pop up on screen. Caesar is continuing the gift sub they got from C-Star, one of 139,963 gift subs to continue this September. Yeah. Caesar, right on. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support. Extra support. Hope you're doing all right out there. First one here, or at least first one chatting. First one speaking up. Oh! So we built this yesterday. Pretty sweet. This is our first proper base here. And it's really a hydro farm. That's what we built yesterday. Although I worked on it some more last night and this morning. I'll take you through the modifications. But we had the central chamber, like elevator shaft, central shaft. It's no elevator. Central shaft, and then 16 biodomes constructed off of that yesterday. And it's yeah, depending on where you are. It's this island, which is part of the base too. We haven't built anything here. Lines up really nicely with not just that, but you can see there's another rock in the background. So we kind of use that as a cardinal point to anchor stuff. It bisects the base. And there's some, you like? Haven't changed colors yet. We just started to play around with a little bit of that yesterday, and it's all still default colors. The layout, which changes, the top level kind of curves back towards the rock, and the second level is straight, and the third one curves back towards the rock, and the fourth one is straight. Still on the fence about that. I think I want to leave it, but you know, I've thought about taking the levels that are straight and curving them back towards the rock too. It's more than my original plan, but I don't know. It's all groovy. So access was kind of tricky. If you have 6 S-Class jetpack mods, you have enough juice to jet right to the top. Otherwise, you don't. I mean, it takes almost all the juice of 6 mods to get up there. I could probably do it with 5. But while there's access up here, and if you don't have a lot of jet juice, you can climb the ladder if you really want to climb the ladder, and there's access to each level inside the shaft. I decided after the stream yesterday to add these. I added little hollow doors and figured out you could hang ramps off of them. You could hang little entry ramps, which make for this nice little lip to land on. Considering that this game you have a jetpack, no one in this game is without a jetpack. Why not incorporate the jetpack into the access model? So with these little landing pads, these little lips, they're like jetpack landing pads for the different nodes of the farm. And this Selenium is finally ready. This Selenium is awful. Apparently it hates this planet. And it doesn't want to, It finally grew. It took a long time to grow. That's the first crop of selenium in 24 hours. 20 hours or something. But the frost crystals, on the other hand, love this planet, and the frost crystals will grow in like an hour. So, I don't understand all the math and the timers, but we now have a farm for a whole bunch of stuff. So you imagine it would be a couple boxes on the ground. Yeah, so did I. But we put some time into it yesterday and planned a little bit. Didn't plan at all, but nice. DJ, what's with it? You'll shoot your eye out or something. What's with Kappa? What happened to him? Thank you, DJ. Greetings. Thank you for the bits. So, up here, we had nothing yesterday. We just had the landing pad and the platform. You could cheer in his eye. Ha ha! It's a kind of Kappa. I gotcha. So I wanted to put something else up here. I mean, I needed facilities of some sort, just some basic facilities. And let me describe this in reverse. Here's where we ended up. The same kind of landing pad, this little lip idea from out there, where the hollow doors were, is what I ended up thinking when I put these little platforms here. Like, all right, to get to the second level, you just jump up on the pad, and then you're in. Well, why not connect them with a ladder? Because those ladders suck. Those ladders are awful. I caved yesterday, and I put floors and ladders inside this chamber. The whole thing. It took a little while because it was already constructed and it was a pain to get them all placed. But I placed ladders and floors in this chamber, bottom to top. Well, climbing the ladder sucks. I put a ladder outside just as a... You need a ladder, you got a ladder. But climbing the ladder is not fun, and what it means is you can't jet up and down this chamber because you kind of catch at every level. You keep grabbing the ladder and having to jump off the ladder. And even if you do climb the ladder, and you're trying to get off at a certain level, you kind of have to jet jump off the ladder, at which point you're bouncing into the walls and you're clipping and you're falling. It doesn't even work. So forget the ladder. It's just a little jet shaft if you want it. And you can jet up against the wall if you don't want to use any jet juice. Or, crunch, you can jet the other way with a view. I should look at where we're at before I fall. Are we at the top? Some reason reminds you of Mass Effect 1. I don't know why, but I'm okay with that. I don't know why it reminds you of Mass Effect, but I'm definitely okay with that. Alright, let's stay up here for a second. I needed to get some of my storage containers up, so I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I just backed them on these buildings. Now, the way things ended up may or may not have been... I don't even know what I imagined, but I was playing with things and I ended up a little tied down. Let me explain why we got a little tied down. These buildings, when you place them, in many cases will cause a terrain depression. You can use that strategically to form terrain, but forget that for now. When you place them, I didn't want to form terrain. When you place them, they form a little bit of terrain around them. I was using this central path to align some stuff. Hello, Nate Shade. Welcome. We had used this walkway to align the base. For the most part, we used this walkway to align the whole base. We started up here, the landing pad, and they were
message coming in.
They were linked by a corridor and a door at one point. Hey, thank you for the host. Appreciate it. So we had the walkway aligned with the landing pad, and we tried to align it with the island behind us, and then that rock over there. So after we had this this walkway that bisected the base pretty comfortably. And we can build down there too. I don't know what we're gonna build down there, but we can build down there too. I decided up here is where I wanted to put some basic facilities. And that's where things got a little wonky. Although I like where it ended up, I had to compromise on not being able to change them, because by the time I realized what was happening, I didn't have a good save from, couldn't roll back to an appropriate moment. I put these walls up so I could put a corridor up so I could align 2 rooms, and I was just testing with some of the pieces of the walkway, and that worked fine. But it's a little complicated to explain without breaking things and rebuilding some examples. But let me give this a shot. The spacing is not all perfectly uniform. Things that might look... Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I got a lot of suggestions and feedback. We built it on stream yesterday. I had a bit of an idea for the hydro farm going up and down the rock, but it took a lot of work back and forth to get it. I'm just learning this too. Yesterday was my first day base building, first real day base building. I have just some stuff plopped down on other planets, but this is our first real base. I did one. I did a test. And I decided I didn't really want to do the floating pyramid in the other place. But we might still. We talked about that yesterday too. We might still do a floating pyramid. Short version is the pyramid is opaque, shallow, and well, it's all on stream if you want to see it. It's all on stream. You can go back and watch the VOD as we built it from scratch. Yeah. The only other base building I've done is prefabs, and I can show you where I was testing before building this, which was just a couple domes and a small 8x8 base pyramid to test to see how it would work. Oh, I'm having fun with this. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Yeah, in a day or 2 or 3, the streams do get archived to YouTube. Lamia, if you're out there, thank you for all you do. We're keeping those archives rolling. Oh yeah, so the biodomes, that was the original idea, was to take biodomes and kind of wrap them around the rock, although we can kind of do that, like the top level here, before I run out of juice. Like this wraps back towards the rock. And then I decided, at least to experiment with not making it identical on each level. The levels alternate. Top level wraps towards the rock, and the second level goes straight, third level wraps, fourth level straight. And I don't know, I might change it sometime. I made these little jetpack landing pads so you could get to the different levels of the farm. I've been enjoying this game for more than a month now, just living in it, and this is some of the best fun I've had with it. It's just, the possibilities are kind of endless. So many cool spots out there in the universe. Sort of pick a shape and build something. So yeah, back to what happened over here. Because I was trying to explain it. As much as I like what I ended up with up here, I kind of got forced into it. The depression in the ground from these 2 structures when I was experimenting became permanent because I didn't recognize it had done that, or that I was going to have an issue with that until I'd already auto-saved, manual saved. The game has a lot. I don't know about then. Can't speak to then, but it has a lot now. So, I don't even know how I want to try and describe this, or if it even matters. what I wanted to do was move those buildings a little bit. What I was unable to do was connect these corridors. The piece in the middle, this walkway, is not the same width as one of the corridor pieces. If I put a third corridor piece trying to connect those two corridor pieces, there's a gap. And it all comes down to little gaps, things that don't quite align. They're really close, or things that look symmetrical to the eye. You've built them out symmetrically, but when you go to place something in two different symmetrical positions, only one of them will allow you to place. I was having that happen with ramps. So I was having a lot of trouble getting access to this second story. I wanted a second story on each of these, and I didn't want to put the ladders, the central ladders, the ones that would go right here, for the reason I described out there in the elevator shaft, because they really suck. They're a pain. They're not good. They look cool, but they're not actually comfortable to use. They're pretty miserable to use. The other reason is I needed a place for a refiner. I really wish the large refiners were smaller or didn't fill a room and be so ugly or something and have to go right in the middle. Maybe just for aesthetics, I would have put the ladders in if I didn't need a large refiner in one of these buildings. And sometimes I get hung up on the symmetry of things. Sometimes not. Like, I'm okay with that over there, even though you can't have a second one. That's okay. On the other hand, I was not going to be okay just putting a refiner here and a ladder over there, and I don't even like the ladders. Alright, I'm a head case. Just deal with it. So I dropped the trade terminal in here, just dropped the save station. But, you know, I'm not making a very clear explanation of what happened here. But I made depressions in the ground when I was testing things. I couldn't undo that. I wanted to space things out differently. I wanted different types of access. I tried making hollow doors up here and putting walkways and then stairs, ramps coming up, but there would always be gaps. Things wouldn't space right. If I take these corridors out, and I use a different block, I can actually move these buildings. I can move them up. Sorry, I'm on the wrong side of the screen. I can move them over towards, I can move them from here to here, kind of pull it into that corner. But it ends up really hugging the floor, the blocks, which clips a little, looks a little weird. It allows it, but you still can't connect things. You try and put a third corridor piece in there. Boy, I'm really just mangling this. If you move the buildings up and you move that building up, you can almost connect them with two. At that point, you can almost connect them with two corridor pieces, but there's still a gap that you can't seal with a single door, and it's just weird. What started as a path that allowed us to align the base and space things out, and I used to place these buildings, ended up being the reason I'm stuck with these buildings. I mean, I can remove them still, but I can't really I can't fit them any better, and I can't really fit anything else in their space any better. And in terms of getting doors and access, it became a real pain in the ass. It was just, I still don't think I've described it very well, but this was my original access to these buildings. I spaced it out using wall pieces and corridors, and I just decided to roll with that because I spent an hour tearing it down in different ways and trying different things, and none of it worked. So I just replicated the bottom level. Sorry, I keep hitting the visor. I just replicated the bottom level up here so I could have two separate rooms with their own access, stuck windows in them, and then I was thinking about those little ramps, those little lips out there. Going, all right, so we don't have stairs. Why do we need stairs? We have jetpacks. I like jetpacking everywhere anyways. So, there we go. It is what it is. I do like it though. These storage containers kind of space out all right with the building, so I'll probably leave them there. They kind of clip into the building just a little. I think I can live with it. Certainly convenient for now. So we got a farm. I think it's pretty badass. And I have no idea what to do with the island. But we've also got that sky base. Ask away, please. Crunch. Now that's a long ladder, but when we build at the other air base and we eventually have a ladder that goes from the ground up, we're gonna have to play the Snake Eater theme and climb it. Where's the bakery for baking cakes? Well, maybe we can put that down here. Got a lot of room on this island. If we built a pyramid here, and I'm not saying we should, but because of the distance and the height, a pyramid built down here, floating above this island, let's say, would be visible and you'd be able to appreciate it from all the way up there. One of the reasons I'm not sure I want to build a pyramid at the airbase, the other airbase, is because it's such a massive opaque object that just kind of would fill the sky. Anytime you're at the base, it would fill the sky. Unless, say, you were way up looking down on it. Just a thought. Another cool thing about this spot is if you warp here, my ship's up on the pad, but if you just warp here, your ship gets parked right here in the water. And you have to swim down to it to get in it. And then when you take off, you rise up out of the water. It's pretty badass. That was not intentional, it's just bonus feature. I could just stare at this thing for a while. Wait. We can color the domes. What do you mean, was that your I don't have an actual underwater base yet. But we do have... I can avoid drowning here. Find this spot. I haven't marked it yet, but I kind of know where it is. There's a hole, as long as it remains. There's a hole from when I got... There it is. I got clipped. The game clipped me through the ground into what is apparently an underwater cave. Look what's underneath our base. This is actually part of our base too. And if we want to, we could build down here. I don't know what to build down here, but it could be the super secret part of the base. How sweet is that? We have caves under the base. It's just, I think that's awesome. I can only get down there in first person mode. I get stuck on the walls, that little shaft trying to get down. That's how I got out. It's not like I made that shaft to get down to the cave. That was me panicking down there after the game. Suddenly, I was underwater and suddenly I'm in a cave and I can't swim out and I'm running out of air, so I just drilled up. So, I got a whole ship filled with glass up on the freighter, plus some more glass. That frost crystal is growing really fast. Nothing else grows fast, though. And we got tons of mats. All right, have a good dinner. We'll be here a while. I'm not sure if, for right now, I want to just stare at this and tweak it, maybe mess with the color. Maybe build something down here. Or we could go to the air base and stare at that for a while and think about possibilities. Enjoy dinner. Sorry you guys that I'm munching cashews on stream, but I really haven't eaten much today. I'll show you something we can't do. Although it might work on the bottom row, and I'm not going to do it. Okay, it would work on the bottom row. We could actually hang... It's neat. We could hang prefab rooms underneath... Why not that one? Why not that one? What's the rules? Why does that one work? And that one works, but that one doesn't. And that one doesn't. It shouldn't be the rock. There should be enough of a gap between them and the rock. But you run into surprising things like that when you're building, and you have to try different stuff. At one point I tried making little corridors that came off of the central shaft, and I put viewing pods on them. So there was a pod and a pod and a pod and a pod. Just to see how it would look from a distance. It's not that I'm never going to stand in the viewing pods and just view, but it looked kind of cool. Looked a little busier though, and then the ladder. I like having a ladder. Not to use, but just to think about. Just in case. Kind of monitor the plants from outside. And there's still a few things I need to plant. I need to plant some more upright, and might be the only one that's not fully planted. I also have a hauler full of frost and planium and cactus and mold, and so before I start picking everything, I should pick it and let it regrow, but I mean, we've got a lot. We kind of need to sit down with a plan to craft if I'm going to start picking this stuff. Otherwise, I won't have anywhere to put it. I'll have to sell it cheap or dump it. I may as well just leave it sitting there pretty on the branch. Gamma root. I've got 4 frost, 2 of most other things, star bulb, but only 1 of coprite and mordite. I think that's fine for mordite. I'm starting to wonder for coprite. Need coprite for lubricant. That's just disgusting that to make lubricant for living glass, you need, you need to use shit to make lubricant for fancy glass. That's just delightful. But we need it. So we've got poop plants over here. Here are our poop plants. I don't even know how that works. I guess when you feed animals, this is what they poop out. And yet here we are growing it. We are gonna pick the coprite. I gotta plant a couple more. Weird that it would let you build one right through the walkway. I don't know why that is. But you only really miss one node when you have a door. I mean, you can avoid missing that node if you have a prefab under it and a central ladder. You don't have to miss any nodes. But, so what? So we're missing a node. Big deal. We got a lot. Selenium, which took forever to grow. Should pick that and put it somewhere so it can start growing again. Ow! Ow! Yeah. I'm pleased with how it came out. But I don't want to stare at it for 6 hours today. Or 5, whatever we got. Let's jump back to... Oh, transporter's up top. Let's jump back to a couple other spots. And talk about potential. First, let's go back to Bunny Rock where the test pyramid is. Oh man, if I eat this entire... this is a pound of cashews. I better not eat the whole thing during this stream. Pyramid. Probably not going to keep it here because I think this is a beautiful spot. And not sure the pyramid is beautiful. It looks cool from a distance or from above and you're flying around. But without repeating every last little detail from yesterday, the main problems with the pyramid are that it's relatively shallow, completely opaque, and to make it taller, because it's a pretty shallow pyramid, this 8x8 base, we'd have to do something bigger. From some rough estimates and rough measurements, this airbase spot we've got, we could probably do a 16x16 and still have room on the sides between these two floating rocks. We'll go there in a minute. It'll make more sense. I think it was Chronic who first suggested that a pyramid might look like a Goa'uld ship, like Stargate. Big floating pyramid, but you can see how it's kind of shallow. Alright, so say we double the base and it gets taller, and it's this big ass pyramid. It's still opaque, and the spot that we were talking about using it in is unique. Fairly unique. The way that this floating rock, which is very large and very high up, has been cut away in the middle by an in-game save spot, POI, creating this massive chasm, this gap between two ends of a huge, long floating rock. We're gonna base build there. But what are we gonna build? The first thought, which is just simple and not very formed, is just some sort of an initially flat array of landing pads, biodomes, and maybe some prefabs that floats there. So in the middle of this huge chasm, a one-level, I mean, like multiple landing pads, like at least 4 landing pads, maybe 6, some sort of, maybe a spider-like design, landing pads on the end, and then biodomes curving off of it like legs or something. Anyways, I don't know, something up in the air there. And I'm sure it would get multiple levels eventually, and once you start to build, you start to see possibilities that you didn't see before, and then you run into trouble and you adapt. And I don't know where it'll end up, but if we aim to build a pyramid in the middle there, that kind of blows all the other possibilities away. Unless we move the pyramid up and we put the pyramid above all that other stuff. So I think I want to reserve that possibility that we still do a pyramid and then we put it above the other stuff that I want to build at this other base. It might be cool. I mean, some giant capstone, you wouldn't, I don't know how much of it you'd see from the base. You'd see it while flying on approach. But that's just it. If you're standing next to the pyramid, you can't even see what's beyond it. If there's a view, you can't see the view. And if we make one with a base that's twice as large, you could pull back here and you still wouldn't be able to see anything. So to enjoy a pyramid, you really got to be able to get away from it and go, holy shit, there's a pyramid. Which is what I was kind of thinking, the hydro farm. If we put a pyramid down on the island, it might look sweet from up top. It's just an idea. All it is resources. They're easy enough to build. And you can't really have a proper base. I gotta check a message here. Sure it's not an important one. Okay. Slanted pieces are weird. You have to anchor them to something. And what I couldn't do was take this piece where the reticle's at. I could not place that anchored to this one on the ground. Sorry, the camera's jumping, I don't know why. Stop it. Stop it. Alright, there's another reason not to like a pyramid. It does weird things with the camera. Stop it! I can't take it. Cameras, stop waving. Anyways, had to do some tricks to get it started. Had to put a ground piece on the outside, flip the angle around after placing it. Then I found you could actually put these pieces back later. But not all of them. Like, I couldn't place a corner piece. I don't think it's the ground. I think it's the corner block that's preventing a ground block from being placed right there. So, I don't know, rules and stuff. So this giant opaque pyramid can't really have a proper floor. Although we could float a floor in the middle of it with a gap. We could use smaller paved pieces to kind of fill half that gap. It's messy. Maybe eventually. Alright, so I ended up going back through it all in greater detail than I planned. But that's why I don't want to jump on the pyramid idea. This is where I was testing some... These were my first 2 biodomes. So we built 16 biodomes yesterday, and prior to that, this is all. I made these 2 empty ones just to test a few pieces and see how they hook together. And I do like this planet, so maybe we'll build a base here someday too. An actual base. Now just testing. You'll have a teleporter. So let's go to the air base and ponder that a little bit. Skybase too. So that last one, just called it Hydro Farm for now. Hello, weather. Hello, sentinels. And we are in a little nook in a rock. Way up there. I don't know if you can tell how far away stuff is from here, but hold on. We are near the top of the rocks. this is where we're gonna build. Maybe next. Maybe next. Look at that chasm. I mean, it looks big, but I'm telling you, it's a little hard to appreciate at first how big that gap is. And it's a little hard to appreciate at first how high up in the air this is. This is so high up in the air that when I placed the base computer on the ground, we actually couldn't build on these rocks. So you could near the edge, but you couldn't up there near the teleporter, or you could only build out along the edge of it here, and you couldn't build up even into the middle. It is so far down that it triggered the perimeter of the base. Parking. So, yeah, it'd be a cool spot for a pyramid. You could float a gigantic pyramid in this space. But it would... I don't know. I mean, I kept thinking the pyramid's too big. Is the spot really big enough that a gigantic pyramid wouldn't just fill it and make it all look ugly? But then we did some measurements, and the thing is, it's really a big spot. Like, we could have a 16 by 16 base pyramid and it would have room to breathe. But I still don't think I want to set it right here. Like, if we build a base at this height, maybe the pyramid sits above it. I don't know. That's where the base computer is. I will never get over... I know how it happened, but in the end, the base computer, I should have put it right up there on the edge of the rock. Just would have made sense. And instead, I carved that out. And I still can't get over that I did that. It seems so absurd that I did that. The original thought was that I was going to put the base computer in the middle of the rock for verticality, to cover more verticality. That made sense. I didn't end up doing that. Ended up putting it just near the top, but still in the rock, which makes no sense. I will explain myself over and over forever. But it's another beautiful planet. Look, we're above where most of the birds fly. A lot of rocks floating on this planet way up there. Look at that one in the distance. Not really level enough to build, but I guess you could build something up there. Build like a tower, put a spire up there. That's higher up than we are. But this has the advantage of being above. I mean, it's kind of a valley. We're above a depression. Those are taller hills. We're not even above a hill. But we're floating on a rock above a... I mean, it is really hard to tell how far down it is. See how small the save point is? The damaged machinery. So, sometimes ships buzz this little bridge. They fly right under it. Not those, but... So I'm hoping that we build at this height, and that ships still fly under the bridge sometimes, still fly under the base. Maybe they won't. Cooler if they do. Thinking that from this base, whatever ends up here, it might be neat to build out in the distance something that you could see from here. A pyramid, let's say. Or the reverse of it, if we end up with a pyramid floating here, and then say we put a base on another rock, or another rock out there, then we'll have a view of the pyramid that's stunning. I mean, imagine if off in the distance here, you could see a huge, great pyramid. But I don't think I want to just fill the spot with the pyramid. So what else are we going to build here? The gap has a certain shape to it. I mean, I don't think I'd want to align a base this way. I think I'd kind of want to align it this way, where it fans out towards the rocks on the side. Top, bottom, head, tails, whatever. Walking Dad, good evening. Hope you're doing well. The word. Or we could just keep building at the hydro farm. Then we get to keep staring at the hydro farm. And it's all so barren here now that we've got a real base. Ready to start over already? I almost feel like this one would need some graph paper. But if we find a, we measure out the center. It doesn't have to be perfect because I don't think we're going to be building so much, need to build out so much that we get within a block of the edge. You know, if we have close to a center block and then we build out and we build out, we're not going to feel any break in symmetry if we get to the edge over here and the edge over here and the gap's not perfect. It's like a mile away. Just fun building. Or depends on what your motivations are. You could have outdoor farms in different biomes. You can't plant just anything anywhere. So you might make a base on a radioactive world to plant gamma root outdoors, and on a cold world to plant frost crystal, frost wort outdoors, and so on. But I would say mostly just for fun. Why do people build big things in Minecraft? I gotta just sit and stare and think. But sometimes it's harder than others to picture things that aren't there. These blocks have weird spacing. I don't want to use these blocks to measure out the center. We should replace the walkway. Oh, Pergy. I'll take you back there to show you. We can warp right back here. This place needs more domes. Yeah, I'll show you the touch-ups I did on the hydro farm. I'm still not sure if I want to work on the island part of the hydro farm right now, or Start working on that other base. What? Died? How did they die? Your S-class combat frigate died. A one-off. Did you force it to continue a mission and it couldn't take it? So, I played around with a bunch of other additions, but yeah, I've recalled the only ones I've had get damaged. Put an external ladder on the central shaft. But I put these little jetpack landing pads. Put little hollow doors on each level and jetpack landing pads on by each door. And I decided I really liked them. They're like little tongues hanging off. And then I built a few prefabs up here and wrestled with spacing, but I wanted to get a refiner and a trade terminal and just put some basics in place. And there's one hell of a view. What is this horrible thing? I don't know to what you refer. With those huge prefabs. It's some huge prefabs. Sorry you don't like it. I thought you were just making more landing pads up here. Might have had that thought too. Yeah, I was messing around with prefabs, and I not only wanted some sort of structures up here. Hopefully it was gonna think of something that I wanted to do up here, but I ended up getting kind of locked into it because of the depressions made in the ground by some of the prefabs when I was testing, and my saves ran away from me before I had realized it. Anyways, never mind. Sorry you don't like it. I like it. No, they're not terribly pretty. I did square over round on purpose, and I guess it had more to do with placement and symmetry. And then in the end, this weird little corridor with these little landing pads. Ended up liking that too, partly because I had felt kind of walled off from some of my access options because of weird spacing issues. But I was thinking about these little lips, these little landing pad lips, and how much I like those, the jetpack access. So what the hell? Did the same thing up here. Anyways, I like it. And I'm not sure if I want to build at this base or at the air base. I stuck my head in there. It's there. That's what's going on with it. I don't have any ideas for it. I think it's cool that it's there. Some tunnels, huh? Just a series of tunnels, or... tunnels to nowhere? Yeah, I do not plan on scratching the prefabs. We're gonna put landing pads up here. That'd be easy enough just to do that, but no, I wanted to have facilities up here, especially for now. I don't know about in the long run. If we end up with like a resort or something down there, if there's a nice little island part of the base, then we don't need redundant resources. If that's a place to hang out and craft and but I think it might be up here, so making tunnels for the sake of making tunnels. Maybe. Want to get an underwater mod too, so I get a little more time down there. Maybe I'll pick one up. I just have no idea why this is cut the way it is, because there's no other feature that I can see. Unless somehow it has to do with the underwater cave, but that doesn't make sense either to me. Well, yeah, I mean, we could go make one right now. I just don't know if it'll be filled with water or not. Also, with no... Big things from small beginnings. But instead of just... You can just make a bunch of refiners down there. I guess you could, but... be any advantage to putting the refiners way underwater and like 10 more in the freighter. What do you spend your time refining? I guess you mentioned some of the stuff your missions bring back. You refine stuff into glass and nanites and whatnot. I'm not sure how much of a producer I'm trying to be here. I just, you know, enjoy the building. How many stasis devices and fusion igniters am I really gonna make? I mean, how much money do we really need? Now, you give me more than 6 ship slots, and alright, but as it is, I don't even have something to spend 800 million on, let alone billions. Concentrated carbon with oxygen makes more concentrated carbon, 1 to 6. Okay. Why do you make concentrated carbon? Then you use the carbon with sulfurine, nitrogen, and radon to make stuff. Fair enough. I have not set up any gas collectors yet. So these small stacks of radon and sulfurine are just from, I don't know, I guess depots. Collected them from depots. Combine the resulting stuff to make cryo pumps. Do you stop at cryo pumps? Are you just making cryo pumps, selling them? The hot ice and the thermic. Also, the carbon serves as fuel for all the collectors. That it does. I'm not even sure if I have a question, but if there's any question in my... I guess I'm just wondering what... Is it to make a lot more money, or do you enjoy the grind, the process, and the money's incidental? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm even... not sure what I'm asking. Like building this hydro farm, it's nice to have access, easy access to stuff, but it already feels like more than I need. I don't know how much how serious I want to get with crafting and making stuff to get richer than I could imagine. Now you just do it for the hell of it? Oh yeah, well then that's good reason, as long as you're having fun doing it. I'm not sure I will end up with a streamlined process. I could figure out how much I'm getting from each dome of each plant and what the ratios are to make the things, and if my goal is to make cryo pumps or go all the way to stasis devices or fusioning or whatever, I could get it all jotted down. But I also don't mind just winging it. I've got a couple containers of crafting stuff. I've got some cryo pumps waiting, ready to go. I guess I could sell the stacks, but I'll just hang on to them. And at some point, when I have some more stuff, I'll sit down and push through to make a small stack of devices and go sell them. And as for replenishing these stacks, I'm not even making this stuff. I'm just getting it from mission board missions and depots and I don't know what you mean by it's either. Isn't it whatever you want to make? And the fusion accelerant from organic catalyst and nitrogen salt. Let me take a guess at what I'm... Let me read between the lines a little more if I'm able. The cryopumps and the fusion accelerants, which themselves have good value, are themselves crafted from things that you can just you can grow and harvest, especially if you happen to have your gas collectors, and it's all very convenient. You can make the catalyst and the nitrogen salt, if you can make the hot ice and the thermic, and you know, one or the other. I mean, you could make a farm that was focused on making the precursors for hot ice and the precursors for thermic. If your farm has the balanced or the right ratio of amounts of stuff growing, then it would be really easy for you to produce cryopumps and just churn them out. Steady supply cryopumps money. I mean, that's what I see you doing. Alternately or additionally, you could set up the farm precursor ingredients for organic catalyst and nitrogen salt and gas collectors as needed. Same idea. So yeah, I think I get it. I'm just not likely to do that. At least for now, I'm more likely to just wing it. Just whatever. I'm getting some of these things from loot, from missions, sticking them in boxes, and then using them when I feel like it. Yes, we could go through. We could go through all the recipes. Don't you have the recipe? Yes, of course I have the recipe. Of course I have I don't think you're getting the point. My point is I don't care. My point is I don't need to craft these things. I get plenty of the stuff from loot. I am satisfied already. Does that make sense? I'm already satisfied. I don't need to make that. I'm good. I'm already good. So yeah, I can make the stuff. And I've never made this stuff. I don't need to make this stuff. I'm looting this stuff. I'm happy looting this stuff. I'm content looting this stuff. I did. And I'm trying to explain that I'm probably not going to get so organized. Even as we're building farms. No, I love the idea of a nice streamlined operation. Go pull 2,000 of this and 1,000 of that, and all the numbers add up, and you just combine, and stack, and... Are you still spending your nanites on anything? When I found that last ship, I spent about... Well, I spent it twice, but I spent about 8,000 nanites times 2 to get the ship all modded out. Still not showing the modified damage. But just to buy all these mods. Extra ones in general inventory. I just finished decking out this ship as an A-class. When I finally, after 3 days of stalking trying to find the S-class, I caved, bought the A, modded it, and then the S showed up. You had to upgrade your tentacle monster. I did. I found one of those. I know some people have spent thousands of hours and not seen them. I guess I got lucky to have seen one after about 400 hours. Found one after about 400. Black and white with zebra stripes on the top. Crunch. Nice. Warp anywhere. Remember if this system even has any cool ships in it. Song. So, try not to get stuck in stare mode for too long. I'm gonna decide on building here or building at the airbase. Or we could craft a bunch of stuff and go make a bunch of units, but I don't think that's really that. It's not really that interesting. It's one of the things I like about this game is it's sort of a meditation. Now, that doesn't actually happen on stream because as a shared experience, it's not very meditative. But off stream, and it doesn't matter whether I'm mining ferrite dust off the ground or spending 2 hours trying to reposition something that won't sit just where you want it. It's all very meditative. And so I don't know where I'm going with that, but a little harder to just zen and think on stream. Zen and... Alright, I remember where I was going with that. The meditative nature of the game sometimes facilitates thought, different types of thought. Just kinds of stuff. Super Lemon Haze. Hello again. We want snapped grid function. Yeah, so this was a nightmare for me in the middle, although I like where it ended up. Even if you don't. I like where it ended up, but I got forced into some of the spacings when I figured out what wouldn't fit, what... Like, oh really? I started everything based on this block, so now I'll never be able to connect these things. They'll only get this close to each other, ever. Even if I, like, reposition the buildings based off different anchors, they're only ever gonna... Yeah. I think I see what many people have been talking about for a while. So besides the overall look and having a very game-appropriate 16 domes, we've got 16 Hydrodomes. That is the correct number for this game. You can overwrite most anything there with cuboids. I will ponder that. But one of my favorite things is one of the last things. When I stuck those hollow doors on there and then put the little ramps, access ramps. that act like little landing pads, little tongues. That's one of my favorite parts of this whole base. Those little landing pads. But the time you spend staring at empty spaces is so important. the pre-build time, stare time is so important. Yeah, those awful ladders. I experimented with, I ended up with an external ladder, just like an emergency ladder on the outside. But I tried putting floors and central ladders in just to see how bad it would be. It was awful. It was miserable. You couldn't jet up the middle, and climbing stunk, and you couldn't get off the ladder at the level you wanted without... it was horrible. Those central ladders are terrible things. They look cool, but that's it. They're one... I can't even call it a redeeming feature, but they look cool. What is that ladder doing there? Well, because I wanted it there. That's what the ladder's doing there. We're supposed to build observation chambers. I did build observation chambers, and then decided I didn't like them. And that I wanted a ladder here. You can call it whatever you want. Role-playing reasons, aesthetic, emergency ladder. I don't know, whatever. It's the one way you can get up besides jetpacking. And flying your ship. Which, to my crazy brain, was important on some level. Or maybe it was only important after I made those observation chambers and decided I didn't really like how they looked. Although they looked kind of cool, I made a few variations of them. So I'm sorry that I won't always like the same things. But what is that ladder doing there? It's there because I put it there. I want it there. The outsider, welcome. The observation pods, I did, before putting the ladder in, try taking some observation pods, some glass corridors, and sticking pods out here. I tried going 1 corridor pod, I tried going 2 corridor pod. I even tried different heights, like 1 corridor pod here, and then 2 corridor pods here, so it was a little further, and then 3 corridor pods below. Anyways, I tried some stuff, and it was just too busy. Oh, wait, you can't. Don't you think spiral staircases might be, I don't know, wouldn't they be a little trickier to implement? So, in contemplating the space below, what to put below? It's not lighting up. Sorry, I keep getting all these messages. Totally unrelated stuff. Sorry. Life is weird. Aren't we getting the first episode of Life is Strange Season 2? Isn't that coming out this month sometime? I don't know if we'll jump on it or wait until we have more of it. I also haven't played the free prelude to that. With the awesome adventures of... Yeah, that lone tree. Should we try and keep the tree there? As we build on the island, whatever we build on the island, should we try not to destroy the tree? That could be tricky. If we build anything remotely near it, the tree might just disappear. It probably will disappear. But we could try and keep the tree there. do we put down there? If we pole dancing Gex. Well, our Gek Overseer's a real creep. I don't know if we even want to bring him. I don't think we want to bring him here at all. Farmer's okay. Farmer's pretty cool. We could have some landing pads to watch the ships roll in. But I mean, one thing I didn't do, well, I don't know what ships are in this system. Whatever they are, I don't think they're especially cool. We've seen some of them. We want to put landing pads just to watch a bunch of shuttles and random ships land. Could we build something that would help us appreciate what's up here more? Build something down there. Even if we're not growing in them, we could, looking out from a dome, would there be much to see? We want to elevate what's down there. Just because the island is beneath us doesn't mean we have to build right on the island. We could get up off of the ground and build above it. We could try building that pyramid, a pyramid. I don't know how big would fit, but eyeballing it, a floating pyramid above it, like say above that tree even. Like a 12 by 12 base. Wouldn't that ruin the view from the domes, though? Wouldn't what ruin the view from the domes? The landing pads or a pyramid? Because I think my issue with the pyramid is being up close. You can't appreciate it when you're up close, and you can't even really see what it looks like from up close. So a pyramid down there, you'd be able to appreciate from up here. Building something tall, wouldn't that ruin the view from the domes? How tall are we talking? This is pretty high up there. Not that tall. I wasn't thinking that tall. I was thinking, 2-3 stories. Build something at like the 2nd and 3rd story high. But even if you went 2, 3, 4, 5 stories high, you'd still be beneath most of this. Landing pads wouldn't be so bad, but they're not especially useful. It's true. I've thought about maybe putting one down there, and we had the one up here, and then you could conceivably fly from the bottom to the top, but the jetpacks are for. But maybe, like the landing pad. If there were a landing pad in the middle, just say smack in the middle. If there were a landing pad, one, smack in the middle, and we could just aim off of it like a cross, could... What? Put what down there? It's one of the things about base building, besides farming. You've noticed a distinct lack of pyramid. No, I built a test pyramid.
Smoke weed every day.
What's up, Chronic? You missed... Did you miss all the base building yesterday? I actually did build a pyramid. Ha! I can show it to you, too. But even better, we built that. 16 biodomes. Climbing up a rock. And I'm still contemplating the pyramid. We were just talking about possibly a pyramid here. Or a pyramid floating above the airbase spot, but I think if we end up with a pyramid there, it's going to be a late build after building other stuff on level with the plateau. That's different. Ah, well, clearly you love it. Well, I love it. My little jetpack hydro farm. Hello, Sea Star.
It's cool, everybody. I'm here.
Welcome. So apparently we're only about 50-50 on other people liking it, but whatever. You don't have to like it. You can build your own. Make it whatever you want. Cool thing about this game. Happy Friday, hopefully. Hopefully. Let's go back to Bunny Rock one more time so I can show Chronic that I did build a pyramid. I did a test pyramid days ago. And decided I'm really on the fence about it. It's shallow, it's opaque. The bottom level can't do a solid bottom all the way across. Now this is just an 8x8 base, and we could actually fit a 16x16 base or bigger at the Skybase spot. And on that island we were just looking at, I was thinking we could probably do a 12x12 base. But the thing is, the pyramids don't look cool until you're far enough away from them. So, you know, from up close, they're just an eyesore. I mean, they're kind of cool if you're thinking, oh, look, it's a pyramid. I'm standing next to a pyramid. But you can't really see it or appreciate it until you pull back from it. But it's doable. However, I don't know, would we want to be inside the pyramid? They're just opaque. And you can't really place pieces up to the edge all around, like that square there. I couldn't place anything there. I think it's the corner block that prevents it. If we could do glass pyramids, I'd be much more tempted. If we had some variety of materials or pieces, yeah, that'd be cool. But as it is, we can change the color. You do some stuff with colored panels. So, it's just a little test pyramid, but I'm on the fence about whether or not I want to build one in other places. But when you got here, Chronic, we were just contemplating a pyramid in that other spot. Would a pyramid look good there on the ground, floating above it, floating above something, floating above nothing? You could make a rainbow pyramid. Yes, you could. Do concrete roof, metal roof, or wooden plebe roof. So many options. I'm really pleased with the building options so far. I'm not trying to harp on the game. I know some of you have been playing a long time would really like to see some basic quality of living improvements. I get that. I would too. I'm still in my honeymoon phase with all this though. So, Skybase, Hydro Farm, Pyramid, no Pyramid, that's what you walked into. I don't know where I want to build. Continuing to tweak the Hydro Farm might be... keep working on what we were working on yesterday. Work on that island. Put something there. Tried removing the corner piece, placing the floor in the corner, and then adding the roof back. It is worth a shot. I don't think I've tried that. It's a good idea. Should try that at some point. So, I consider it a feature, not a bug, of this location that it parks your ship in the water if you teleport here. Taking off from underwater, rising out of the water, that's I'd pay for that. No, it really has. It has just the best exit. Not just because you actually spawn underwater and could drown if you weren't paying attention, but because of this. That alone is just gold. Yep, I see my frigate is damaged. Got the message too. Five-star S-class frigate sent on a 2-star mission got damaged. Why do you think that even happened? Shouldn't that rarely happen? That you just rolled a couple ones? That does not make sense, does it? If you have landing pads, why they aren't picked for... Yeah, why aren't they used for ship spawns? That makes no sense. Makes no sense. I wonder what your frigates encountered. They must have encountered some hairy shit. Maybe some of you No Man's Sky experts can help me understand. Even though the biodomes let you grow anything on any planet, it seems that the planet still has an effect on the rate of growth, or did I imagine that? The reason I ask is the selenium took 24 hours to grow. Why did the frost crystals grow in an hour, but the selenium took 20 hours or something to grow? Is it because the selenium doesn't like this climate? It's not hot enough, even though they're in biodomes and it's allowed to grow them? Do they grow slowly here because of the climate? Or does selenium just grow slowly? Each plant has different growth rates. Is selenium just the slowest thing in the world? Hang on, didn't I plant the rest of the coprite that was missing? How is there one node that's still missing? I missed it, I guess. But I thought I got them all. Irrelevant frostwort also doesn't like this climate since it grows in frozen. Yeah, you're saying the climate's irrelevant. That's the answer. I was wondering if the climate could have any effect. Obviously, frostwort wants a colder climate, but I was wondering if there were different outcomes from incompatible, less compatible climates for different plants. Seems the answer is no, just different times for different plants. I can accept that. Selenium takes forever to grow. So, Chronic, you've never seen a layout like this, huh? Well, that makes sense, because I pulled it out of my ass, and we spent all yesterday tweaking it together. And we started this on stream yesterday. We aligned the island below, and the rock there with another rock in the distance, put the landing pad and a line of paving, and then dropped the central shaft, and then built this little walkway, and we did all of that before doing anything with the domes. The original idea was to maybe hug the rock and put biodomes fanning out around the rock. But I only partially did that. Just started trying just different things. Use something similar, just not wrapped around one of those mesa-like rocks. Yeah, and it's only partly wrapped. Like the top one wraps, second one straight, then this one wraps, then this one straight. And I've thought about breaking those domes and wrapping them, but I could never decide which I liked more, where each level was identical or where there was this alternating shape. Pergy, you have Gamma Root on an irradiated planet. It grows real fast. You have Mordite and artificial planters on your freighter, and that grows slower-ish. Yeah, I haven't done any building on the freighter. I'm not sure I want to just for aesthetic reasons. It might be practical, but the freighter's ugly on the inside. Ugly and generic. Let's just turn off. Rendered strangely. Ancient plaque. The ball next to it, that thing looks really large. I wonder. Huh. Found some more of those boundary failures on like a temporary planet, an anomaly called a temporary planet. Those big, they're not quite Stargate-like things, but those huge structures that have little lore dumps on the computers that sit at their base. I guess they go back to an early part of the game. So according to this graph, Solar Vine post-patch 155, grow time is 16 hours. That makes sense. That's consistent with what I saw. I was guessing 20, but 16. Okay, fair enough. 16 hours. I mean, we could pick what's there and make some heat capacitors and some other stuff, but I don't really have convenient places to stash all of those unless we were ready to craft them into things or just wanted to make them. Heat capacitors is not an ideal stage to sell at. Perigi was talking about you want to craft up to at least something like cryo pumps or the fusion accelerants so you can, those stacks have good value, but and Frostward is just an hour. Maybe because of glass? My guess is glass. People picky about wanting to build with glass. People would just be upset. I mean, if it was that hard to make glass, you had to wait 16 hours to make like a few pieces of glass. That would make people crazy. Oh yeah, Chronic, then there's the underwater part. You didn't see the underwater part yesterday because you weren't here, were you? Let me go first person and show you what happened. I was building a few things under the water, like I was just sticking some temporary storage containers, and the game clipped me through the ground. Well, apparently we have an underwater cave system directly beneath this rock. And I panicked because I didn't have any air and I was suddenly in a cave underwater. So I just drilled my way out. But here is what we have underneath the base. Seriously. It's pre-made. Look at all this underwater cave space. We could use as is, hollow out. I don't know. I don't even have any ideas. Perigi was saying tunnels. Just make some tunnels for the sake of tunnels. But, I mean, we lucked out with this spot. How choice is that? We got like this ring of underwater cave space. Love this spot. Fortunately, there are no underwater plants to grow or some such stuff. Make cave condos and rent them out. Hey, Bob, are you traveling today? I got your message. Thank you, by the way. So you're traveling this weekend? What's the story? Traveling in a few. Well, happy trails, safe travels. Going to Florida. You're going to Florida? Now? Alright, well. On the Gulf Coast side. Whew. Alright, it's all good. Just, what are you doing, man? My sister's supposed to be traveling. I don't know. I think she's traveling out of the country this weekend. Leaving from the DC area. Wait, today? Hey. Hopefully no issues for anyone traveling this weekend. Just staring. This is the stare at the hydro farm stream. Ah, but you see, that's all good too. I don't know how many seconds of lag. I feel like we've got a lot of Twitch lag going on for some people today. It's all good. Gulf Coast is fine now. Your coast, on the other hand, not so much. Yeah, just teasing. You definitely need a lot. You definitely need a lot. The atmosphere collectors, the gas harvesters, I haven't started using yet. And the automated mining units, I started using, but I don't have any serious setups. I just put a couple here and a couple there. Hey, yo, Captain. Welcome back. But not a whole lot has changed since yesterday, Captain. I stuck those hollow doors on, and then I put these little jetpack landing pads, these little tongues on the different levels. I think other people think they're weird, but I like them. This is my favorite access for the levels now. Just having little landing pads. Just go from any section to any section. And I stuck some ugly prefabs up here, and very practical. I just put some practical stuff up here. But we're thinking about what to build on the island. We've arrived at more contemplation and staring, pondering. And we were just looking at the underwater caves a little bit, thinking about what to put in them. Sometimes I learned a few lessons about things that don't gap right, don't space right. Building things out after anchoring them to one thing and building them out, you think symmetrically, but then you're trying to come back around and they won't join because they're not spaced the way they need to be. Or you build something out symmetrically off of anchor points, and then I'm trying to put ramps on two different symmetrical spots. And no matter what it is, one will go and the other won't go. And it looks symmetrical and level, but anyways, yeah, I ran into various frustrations. Usually there's a decimal point carrier sometimes. It's kind of what it feels like. But one of the little takeaways from this base is that I decided I really like having little landing platforms for jetpacking around. So if I'm building in the future in any vertical space, which we're planning to again with that other air base, I really like the idea of having little landing pads, whether they're this kind or just a flat panel that sticks out. Having little landing pads as a navigational theme in a vertical base space. I like it. Simple pleasures, simple pleasures. Well, damn, I have no inspirations for the island or the underwater. That would be cool if you could build your own space station. What kind of ideas do you have? I said lots of domes. I guess what I mean is we have space stations with different shapes, right? Big top shapes, round shapes, floating cubes. How would a space station base system work? From the outside, for starters. Forget the inside for a moment. How would it even work? Would you pick a... I don't know. Hey, Fozzie, hello. Stay in Tropic J in chat. Lurk watching this building for a bit. Impressive. Thank you. Thank you. We put a lot of effort collaboratively into it yesterday. I've just been tweaking it a little bit since. Then I kind of hit a wall. We could also just leave it blank forever. It'd just be an island with a tree. Would probably work with prefab pieces, space station, like you get a cube and then you attach a post to it and then has one of the, I don't know. If you could make it look unique on the outside, not just 4 different shapes and a few colors, but if you could have external modular components to a space station, that would be a lot of fun. All right, let's play with the underwater section. Let's see what happens. Let's experiment. We're going to take a break in a few minutes, so before we actually start building underwater, we're going to take a break. But after the break, let's build underwater. I want to think for a few minutes about an initial starting point. Before we take a break, let's think about an access point or a starting point, an anchor point for something underwater. The hole that's down there is that's where I escaped once I was clipped through the ground into the cave. The cave has a lot of... It's not level. The cave is not level. If we start building tunnels down there, we're gonna need to maybe go like tunnel, cuboid, tunnel. It's gonna be really disjointed, but I'm getting there. So if we're talking about an anchor point or an access point, Captain had this thought about a corridor in the cliff. Now, I didn't get a lot of clarification on that, so I'm not sure whether you meant some sort of a vertical chamber down or just coming in from the side underwater or what exactly you meant, but we do have this big rock that goes down into the cave system. So conceivably, I mean, we have to make some hard saves and be really careful about this. If we ever start terrain forming inside of this pillar, we gotta be really careful. Yeah, give me the short version. Are you thinking of something horizontal, something vertical? I don't know. I'm just not sure what I'm looking for here. Do we want to hide the entrance, or do we want the entrance to stick out? Like there's like a glass cuboid that sticks out of the water somewhere, and you walk in through a little hollow door and then drop down into a chamber that's way down. I don't know. Lowest dome level, corridor into cliff, cube stacked down, corridor back out of the cliff. All right, let me just ponder that for a minute. The lowest dome level here. Or beneath it. Let's say, just play with this for a second. Let's say this Yeah, all right. So I was wondering if that's what you were thinking. There's the answer. Corridor out of glass cube into cliff. So we just go straight through. No, it's perfect. It's good. It's good. So, yeah, okay. So you go through, and then you just go right into the rock. And then that would be the access point for some underground system. Man, I'd be a little nervous about building, you know, I think I want to try it, but I think it would also make a hard save, and then I'll just back up my save folder before we start touching the inside of this rock. Yeah, and then I see what, I mean, we've got this cube shaft right here. We could do one inside the rock. We want glass. Once we got to water, we'd want glass so we could see, but inside the rock, I guess it wouldn't really matter if it was glass or not. Yeah, and once we were in the rock, we go down, and then once we're underwater, we can go out however we want. Into the rock, down to the water level, and then spread out and do stuff. I think the trickiest, the most nerve-wracking part to worry about and get right would be the tunneling in without messing anything up, tunneling down without messing anything up, and then breaking out of that into the tunnel system below us. If we can get that, we would want to do that first, and then eventually we build out down there. Then remove the bottom two cubes of the stack. Keep going. I'm not sure where you're going with it, but keep going. I'm actually going to go ahead and make that backup save right now. Mouse for this. Hold on. This. Don't mind me. Hidden entrance under the water. So, well, now I'm a little confused. You remove the bottom two cubes. The corridor and the cube should create the hole. The only danger is that it fills back in with dirt later. So like you would walk into the rock, and what would you see? You would see like a puddle. You would walk into the rock, and you would look down and just see water. What would you, or would you do the cliff thing first and then remove the bottom cubes? Yeah, gonna take a break and then we're gonna try that. Yeah. Three or four levels. Yeah, I don't know how. Here's how I see this beginning. After the break, we drill into the wall, build some stuff, something goes wrong, looks horrible, we load the save. Try again. We drill in to a point that we want to try going down in, and we start going down, and something unexpected happens. But eventually we get to a level that we try to go out from, and then something else unexpected happens. Anyways, I see a lot of save loading going on until we get... Maybe it'll be easier than I think. I don't have a very clear vision of any of this, so we'll just try it. We got saves and a hard backup. So if I accidentally overwrite my save, I've still got it saved. See you all in a few. Stay tuned. Give me about 10 minutes.